Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jurassic Cast. I'm Levi,
And I'm Luis.
and we didn't plan that part out after,
We did
so
not.
that was it. Thank you guys.
That
No,
was it.
no. No. So this is a podcast we are doing to talk about Jurassic Park, and just Jurassic Park or other dinosaur movies too. What we thinking?
You know what? Anything dinosaur related
Yeah.
is something we love
Oh yeah,
on this podcast.
sci-fi dinosaur movies are not off limits here.
Cartoon movies for
Yeah.
kids.
Like that really kind of weird dinosaur movie with John Goodman in it. Did you watch that?
Was that a 90s movie?
I think so.
I'm
Like
pretty
the kids
sure
get
too.
turned into the monkeys.
Yes,
We're already
I
off
remember that one.
topic here.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. We want to do that. All right. So, do you want to? I'll let you start. Do you want to talk about what this is?
Yeah, so today I think we're going to talk about and discuss how we rank each Jurassic Park movie in the franchise. Um, we'll just share our opinions on which one's the best movie, which one's the worst movie, even though all of them are pretty good, in my opinion. But obviously, there are rankings here.
Yeah. So it's like just because one is at the bottom doesn't mean it's the worst movie ever.
Exactly.
Except I will say one thing: our list are fact. These are not our opinion. No, just kidding. They are our opinions. So
They
don't
are
get mad.
definitely opinions.
So do we want to hop right into our list? Do you want to go first with your number five? How we're going to do this is one of us will say our pick, and then if it matches, we'll just kind of both talk about it. If it doesn't match, then like we'll just kind of each take a turn. What's your number five?
Number five on the list. I mean, Levi, you might be mad at me, but I actually put The Lost World as number five.
Ooh.
The reason I put it at number five, like, I really do like the movie. It was close to being my number four, actually. But I remember as a kid, this was definitely the least liked movie for me. After watching the first one, I'm like, dude, this is like God tier movie. Like, this movie is gonna be a classic, right? But then when I watched that second movie, I was just like, this is a boring story. Like, I don't want to hear about this divorced dad trying to maintain his family. I don't know. It was kind of weird. But as I've grown older, I've gotten to appreciate the movie a lot more. I do like the story now surrounding Dr. Ian Malcolm's relationship, as well as trying to take care of his daughter, and that whole situation. But I did really like the T-Rexes in the movie. There's really good scenes. Um, Overall, I think it was a close call, but I would definitely still put it as my number five.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely think the Lost World is almost to me feels like a Spider-Man 3 in a way, where it's like there's a good movie in there,
Yeah.
but there's some weird things that could have been not there. Like the end felt a little rushed. I will agree with you. Like on that, like they're like the whole San Diego scene was a little like, I don't know. It felt like it was kind of tacked on at the end. I don't know, but all right. So my number five is Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and this was pretty even with number four. And the only reason it's at the bottom is because I've only seen it once, and that was in theaters, and I don't remember enough about it, and it just like the fourth spot barely beats it. But I do remember liking a lot of the elements. They felt very different from a Jurassic Park movie or Jurassic World movie technically. But I need to rewatch it. I definitely think it probably rank higher, but I just like the other ones a little bit more because I've seen it more. But that's really all I have to say. I think, well, actually, I will say a few more things. Like the weird cloning thing, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
That's that was a
I
little
could see
weird.
that.
But other than that, I mean, it's fine. It's a fine film. I'm excited for Dominion because of it. I like the ending. The ending
Oh,
is
yes.
super great.
Mhm.
But all right, what's your four?
My number four is actually Jurassic Park 3.
Okay, yes, same. Yeah, I've dressed. Yeah, I'll let you start and then I'll.
No, yeah, I definitely, growing up, going back to watching Jurassic Park, I was like really, really big into dinosaurs. I still am, but a lot of kids growing up, they're really into animals or dinosaurs. Um, and I think Jurassic Park 3 really did have good dinosaur scenes.
Oh yeah.
That's probably the main reason I liked it as a kid. But now that I'm grown and have rewatched it, I'm like, the story is not that good. Like, it's very weird and random how they get
It's
Alan
like
Grant back on
it's
so
like a
he's the
slasher
Nablar.
movie
It
almost.
really is. No, it really is. And like the dinosaur scenes are pretty nice too, but it's still pretty weird how like the Spinosaurus manages to take down and kill a whole T-Rex,
Yeah.
which in reality probably wouldn't have
No.
happened.
But it was
Um,
cool.
it
It's
was
just like
cool. No, yeah, it was definitely cool, but I was just very, I don't know. It was just a very weird scene now that I'm older and like have a kind of slightly different appreciation for
yeah.
Jurassic Park. And I'm like, the story doesn't really make sense. Some of the dinosaur scenes don't make sense, but it kind of just felt like one of those filler movies, kind of like you said.
Yeah.
So I really did put it as my number four. It was almost my number five, like I said earlier. But to me, it might have just been slightly better because of the dinosaur scenes.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
The nostalgia factor for me is what beat out Fallen Kingdom, just because this is the Jurassic Park movie I have seen the most. Because as a kid, like my dad would be like, "You have to go to bed in an hour and something," and like of course Jurassic Park and Lost World are like over 2 hours,
No,
and this one's like an hour and a half. So I'm like, dinosaurs action, let's do it. But I definitely think dinosaurs are like great. The final scene in the boat, or not the, it's like towards the end in the boat with the ring. Oh, it's so great.
no, yeah.
However, the kid being on the phone drives me insane, and the couple in general, the Kirbys, oh, awful.
Kirby's, yeah,
So the mom is so annoying.
very annoying.
But yeah, Jurassic Park 3 was definitely not the. It wasn't like it was definitely the least great, I think, of the Jurassic Park movies. And it just has one of those you just throw it on and enjoy. The characters aren't any don't got any depth to them. Alan Grant's awesome to see back.
Mm-hmm.
There's also that weird airplane Velociraptor scene with like Alan. Alan.
Yeah, that was a very interesting scene. And like going back to that, I was like, some of those scenes like that kind of felt like they were trying to be maybe funny,
Yeah.
but it was very funny. But like it just kind of throws it off. It's just like, what is going on?
Some of the deaths in this movie too are so brutal.
Oh, they really are.
Like the guy when they like crash the plane, that gets dragged out and then stepped on, and then like
Yeah.
I remember the Velociraptor scene when the bald guy is like laying on the ground and they're like messing with his head and like the cracks always freaked me out.
Fun fact, that guy actually, I'm pretty sure, played Mr. Noodle in Sesame Street, in like the
What?
Elmo portion of the
Yeah.
show. I'm pretty sure he was one of the Mr. Noodles. You should
Wow.
look it up sometime.
I will, yeah.
But it's very funny. Uh, gosh, some of those scenes just like crack me up. Um, like I remember though when I was a kid, the part where they find uh the wife of of Mr. Kirby.
Hmm.
She finds her, I guess at the time, her actual partner dead, hanging in
Yeah.
like the tree, and like it's just a skeleton. And she starts screaming. I
Uh-huh.
remember that part really scared me when I was a
Yeah.
kid. Growing up, like now that I'm an adult, I watch that part and I'm like, wow, that's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know. I would still put that as my number four, mostly because of that nostalgia too, like you're talking about. But yeah.
Like if I watch Fallen Kingdom again, it probably would take that spot. But
Mhm.
since I didn't have much to think about, I was like, Jurassic Park 3 is a little better. But all right, what's your number 3?
My number three is actually Fallen Kingdom.
Okay.
Uh, I really like I really like the character development of Doctor Wu. He's actually one of
Mm,
my favorite characters now.
yeah.
Um, and like in the first movie, you couldn't really tell too much that he was like a bad guy or like an evil person. He was just like the scientist in charge, the main scientist in charge of creating these dinosaurs. But like throughout the movies, like he's always behind the scenes creating dinosaurs behind the organization's back or just doing things for himself. But then, uh, kind of like in Jurassic World, I think that's where you start seeing him as a bad character and doing all these evil things for himself. And I think Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is just a continuation of that. And so that's why I really liked that. I did kind of think it was, I mean, I think I kind of got used to the fact that they started creating brand new dinosaurs that didn't really exist in the past. But I also kind of thought it was cool. The other reason why I put it as number three is I liked the kind of thriller or horror aspect of the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, that was
It was very different from any other of the movies, which did have thriller parts, uh, but it wasn't necessarily horror.
yeah.
But some of the scenes were pretty dark, and like the score in the background was really good and matched the scenes.
That the Indoraptor is just like so cool.
Yeah, I really liked the Indoraptor. And I also liked how there are even more, I don't know, dark, I guess, themes in this movie with like the cloning of Maisie, which is we're not just cloning dinosaurs now, we're cloning humans. And
Yeah.
that kind of gets into like this more dark, like
It
mysterious
kind of
kind of
reverts
situation.
almost back to like the first movie with like the whole argument of like can't we can do it, should we do it? And then like I kind of like how it's going back to that instead of just the park aspect. So it makes me interested to see how the new movie's going to be. God, I need to watch Fallen Kingdom.
No,
again.
I
Thinking
really
back
like
on it,
it.
it was pretty good.
Yeah, when I first saw it in theaters, I liked it, but it was like I kind of questioned if it was like as good as Jurassic World or even Jurassic Park, and I kind of just like dismissed it. But then now that I've watched it multiple times, I'm kind of starting to like it more, and I started realizing like all these other aspects I didn't see before, and so I was like, no, I really like the dark theme here.
What do you think of like Owen and Claire? Is that her name? Do you like them as characters?
I really do. They're really funny. Sometimes they can be funny, they can be serious. It's just kind of like this, like friendship slash relationship that they kind of have forming as well, and it's always fun to see that. I don't know if they would be a better pair than Dr. Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant, but I do really like that duo.
Going back to Jurassic Park 3 real quick, why did they like why weren't they together? It's so weird.
Know.
Like why did like he's like hanging out and it's like it was a weird dynamic there.
It was weird. Like so the last time we saw Dr. Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler was actually in that first movie, right?
Yeah.
But when we jump forward into Jurassic Park 3, they're like not together. I'm pretty sure Dr. Ellie Sattler is with another man and also has a kid, and Dr. Alan Grant is just chilling by himself. And it's like one of those beginning scenes, I'm pretty sure, where he visits her house as friends, and I'm pretty sure he meets the new guy and their kid. Um, but it was very weird to me as well. Like when I first watched that movie, I'm like, why are they not together?
Were they together in the first? I'm pretty sure they were. I know in the
They-
book they are, but I don't remember if it's like established.
I don't think they really established it necessarily in the first movie. I think it was more implied
Yeah.
that they liked each other. I don't think they exactly were in a relationship
Yeah.
though. So, and I think also something that kind of helps see that is how Dr. Ian Malcolm is always hitting on Dr. Ellie Sattler in that movie
Yeah.
because he doesn't know that maybe Dr. Alan Grant is trying to be in a relationship with her or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
On Fallen Kingdom, I was just thinking about the scene when Owen has to betray is it Blue?
Oh yeah.
I was like,
Yes.
no.
It was sad.
I remember that was like part. I was just like, okay, this is hate this movie. No, just kidding. No, it's great.
No, it was a sad part for me, but
You got anything else you want to add about Fallen Kingdom?
the last thing I do want to add about Fallen Kingdom, the reason I think also why I put it as my number three is I like the introduction of new dinosaurs that were not in other movies.
Yeah.
There's like baryonyx, and there are like other like herbivore dinosaurs that were featured that hadn't been before. I really liked that. It was just cool seeing new dinosaurs in a Jurassic Park movie, and so they did a really good job adding those dinosaurs.
I almost wish Ian Malcolm was in it just a little more.
Yeah,
I hope he's in the new one a lot more with
I
Alan
hope
and
he is
Ellie.
too. It just felt like he was cameo more than anything.
Mhm.
But I mean, at least he was in it.
Yeah,
But I did wish that he would have been in it.
love me some Jeff Goldblum.
I know.
Speaking,
Interesting guy.
yeah.
Very funny.
Speaking of Jeff Goldblum, my third pick is Jurassic Park: The Lost World.
Mm.
So
Respect.
I like I like as a kid this was my like I didn't like it as much, and then like learning that it was kind of just made for sequel, I was like but rewatching it recently I do kind of find that I do enjoy it. It's got a lot of interesting elements, and then like them trying to what is it they're trying to go and like photo like observe them in real life or like in their life, and the people are trying to like take them. I find that interesting. The scene in with the trailer going over the cliff is like one of the most like the best suspense scene I've ever seen. Like, oh, when she's on the glass.
Yeah. I would say so. I really do like out of that whole movie, I think that would be my favorite scene in that movie as well.
Oh, and the poor guy who gets bitten in half. Oh, I remember watching as a kid and being like, "This is like the war. Like this is so gruesome."
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm like, how is this on a movie?
Yeah, it's just I can watch this. Why am I able to watch this?
Literally.
But like, there's some weird things. The reason it's not at 2 is because like the gymnastic killing the raptor thing. I didn't really like his daughter that much. I do love Jeff Goldblum. I love Ian Malcolm. He's like probably one of my favorite characters in the movies. But yeah, The Lost World had a lot of interesting ideas. It did feel a little like too much in one movie though, and a lot of ideas that weren't fully fleshed out. Like the first bit is really good, and it kind of towards the end it's like a little weird.
Yeah, we kind of forget the first parts of the movie towards the end. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
it's
like-
more about like, oh, we're in San Diego now.
Yeah.
And the T-Rex is running around
Which
the
is
streets.
cool,
Which
like,
is
cool.
cool.
And I'm
But-
excited to see like that on a wide scale in this next movie.
And I think that will be a thing in this next Dominion movie.
Have you played the Jurassic World games, like Evolution and stuff?
I have not yet. I want to get it for PC.
So like, there's not really a story, but do you mind if I like spoil a little bit of it or no?
Sure.
Okay, so like the concept in this 2-hour story mode is like that you're like having to find like carnivores around the world that's terrorizing people, and then like putting them in enclosures and keeping them because they're letting the herbivores just like roam free. And I'm hoping that the new movie kind of touches on the whole idea of like nature preserves for dinosaurs and how they like interact with the world. Oh, I don't know why that popped. I just thinking about that.
No,
I'm
I think-
excited for that.
I think that's a good point, and I think it goes back to, you know, Dr. Ian Malcolm's whole thing of life finds a way.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're being re-released into the wild, not by, I mean, not on purpose,
No.
but the way Dr. Ian Malcolm would think about it, it's like it was bound to happen anyways.
Yeah.
And they're being re-released into the wild, but they're still finding their niche, right? They're still finding places where they can make it their habitats. And I think that part's really cool as well. I did like that part, especially from the end of Fallen Kingdom, where the last scene where the T-Rex is roaring
Oh,
at the
yeah.
lion, you know, two different predators from two different times.
I'm so like I'm excited to just see like Velociraptor, like just like how that's gonna affect like everything.
Yeah.
But back on the Lost World, thinking about like how in Jurassic Park 3, talking about how it was kind of lame how they got Alan onto the island. I think they got Jeff Goldblum or Ian Malcolm back on the island so perfectly because he's like, no, refuse to, never, and he's like, my girlfriend's over there. Gotta go. Okay, I guess.
like, I gotta
And he's
do
like,
it.
he's there to get her and get out. And then
Yeah.
he just like a whole bunch of things just keep happening to keep him from it. It's just like such an I love that concept.
I did like that too. It was very amusing
It
to
felt
watch.
like him. He's like,
Yeah.
I've been through this. No.
I'm sure that's kind of how Dr. Alan Grant felt.
Yeah.
He obviously did it for with different motives. He had
He didn't
money
think
in
they would
mind.
land either.
Yeah. He didn't even think they would land, and then they knocked him out, and all of a sudden they're on the ground and they're yelling for their son. So it's like he was probably feeling kind of similar there.
Mhm.
But
All right, what's your number 2? I'm gonna
number-
guess. Can I guess?
yes,
Jurassic World.
Yep.
Mine
You
too.
knew it.
I wasn't sure if you were gonna put Jurassic World like upper or like at 2.
No, I definitely think Jurassic World is a great overall movie. It has a lot of aspects from each movie that they just do so well. Um, Again, I liked the introduction of new dinosaurs in this movie as opposed to the older three first movies that came out before it. But
It was
I
cool.
really did like um, Chris Pratt,
Oh yeah,
his role in being Owen Grady, as well as Claire. Really good
it was
characters.
so cool to see the park like working, like it was
Yeah,
supposed
that
to
was
be.
cool too.
It's just so great, and like I think that makes the stakes for it even higher
Mhm.
because like every when like the Indominus Rex gets out, it's like it's not like five people on the island now. There's like hundred
There are
thousands.
thousands of people there. Yeah, that was insane. I think when it came out, I watched it in theaters when I was 15, I think. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
15. Um, but I'm pretty sure I cried in the theaters because I was just like, oh my gosh, there's like a Jurassic
I
Park
think
movie.
I was more excited for Jurassic World than I was for The Force Awakens, which I was really excited for The Force
Mm,
Awakens, but going to Jurassic World, I was just like, just let's
yep.
go.
I remember it was just such a experience to see Jurassic Park in theaters again. I was
Yeah,
just like, wow, like
because
this
like
is surreal.
we weren't old enough to see like when it came out,
No.
so it's like it was kind of cool to like actually get to see. Same thing with Star Wars too. It's like seeing. I think both of those were like such great like boots of franchises. Like Jurassic
Hmm.
World did it. It took the concept of Jurassic Park and expanded upon it and made it like amazing. Plus, the Indominus Rex is so cool looking. It's so cool, the dinosaur.
Yeah, I was kind of scared, not gonna lie, like in theaters where I'm just like, I wonder what, because I hadn't seen any spoilers of
Yeah, I hadn't either.
what the dinosaur was gonna look like or anything. But when I saw it, I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is kind of scary.
When like it gets out and they like Chris Pratt goes under the truck and you just see like the fat security guard
Yep.
and you just like
I was
okay.
just like, whoa, like this dude ain't playing around. He
No.
ain't playing. No, but it was really cool. Um, I also liked the kids in the movie. Like they
Oh yeah,
weren't
I
that
think
annoying.
yeah, they weren't too bad. There
No.
was sometimes the little one would be like suddenly like mom and dad are getting divorced, and it's like,
Yeah, and
but
then like it showed like that whole I guess like that whole situation
yeah,
with like kids and stuff like that. But
I think
I
I liked it. I
yeah,
thought they were fine. I didn't have a problem with them. I know people were annoyed by them.
I also kind of like how it was fun. It was kind of funny seeing how like Claire was so just caught up in her job that
Hmm.
she forgets she has a family
Yeah,
and she's supposed to be taking of her nephews, but and that's kind of how they get lost and
her
stuff.
arc is great.
It's really good.
It's because she goes from just like this like I'm a scientist and my work is my life to like
Hmm.
really caring about everything. Because
Yeah.
it almost seemed like she didn't really care about the dinosaurs all that much either. It's
No.
just like this, we just need something bigger, cooler. And I think that was another concept it brought up in the movie was it mentions why the dinosaurs aren't historically accurate. Because Dr. Wu was like, you didn't want realistic dinosaurs, you wanted them bigger and scarier. It's
Hmm.
like, it's just such a, it makes sense.
It really does make sense, and I really like that they incorporated it in the movie. Just because before with the previous three Jurassic Park movies, people were always questioning, especially like the scientific paleontology community,
Hmm.
were always like, why are they not scientifically accurate? Or,
No feathers,
you know,
no.
they don't have feathers, or why are the velociraptors bigger than they should be?
Hmm.
And I think like they're cool, like Jurassic Park dinosaurs, like the Velociraptors are really
Yeah.
cool, but then you could also see, yeah, they're not that accurate to what they would have been.
Yeah.
But I did like the explanation that they finally gave us in the Jurassic World movie.
Because I think is it the mosasaur that isn't anywhere near as big as it is in the like in real life. Which I mean,
Yes,
honestly, the mosasaur is awesome.
yes, that is one of my favorite dinosaurs or creatures that
However, the
in the
logistics of
movies.
keeping that thing, like, what's keeping it from just like plopping out? I guess I don't know.
Pulling a free willy,
Yeah,
you know, just jumping
Free
over.
Willy just smash a bunch of people that are on like the edge there.
For real.
Moves, a tidal wave comes over. I don't know if that's brought up in the
I
movie.
mean, they even had like they in that movie Jurassic World, I'm pretty sure one of the opening scenes was or like one of the beginning scenes was where they had the Mosasaur show where
Yeah, where it eats the shark
yeah,
and
it
it
eats
jumps
the
up.
shark and it splashes the audience
Oh,
like as
so
if it was an
cool.
orca or something. it was really cool to see that.
Just the way like the movie was even shot was just so cool. Like with the Indominus Rex when it kills like the entire like security team was cool. My favorite shot in the entire movie is when like the helicopter would, is it Giovanni or what's his name? No, Mezzarani.
Yeah.
And he's in the helicopter and it crashes and it like blows up as the Indominus Rex turns and it like all the aviary birds get out. It's just so cool.
It was really cool.
It's the like Indominus roars. It just shows its intelligence too.
I've actually when that movie first came out, I was watching it in theaters. I got really sad when Masrani just like exploded. I was just like, this guy was like actually a good guy.
Yeah,
like,
he's like a good John Hammond.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, well, who's gonna replace him now? Like, what's
Dr.
happening?
Wu.
Probably, yep. That's definitely what happened. No, but like I said before, like I also like how they mention and start showing how Dr. Wu doesn't care about like being ethical or being safe. Like he just wants to make a lot of money and he just wants to see how far he can push the limits on creating the most dangerous dinosaur.
And now when you watch Jurassic Park and you see him in that one scene, you're like,
you ain't the same to me. Yeah, so.
Did you like the whole Chris Pratt training the raptors? I think it makes a lot of sense and it's pretty cool.
I think it makes a lot of sense too. At first I'm just like, this is kind of weird. But then now that I've seen it more, I'm like, actually, this shows how far Jurassic Park has gone from beginning from the first park to now this, right? Where they're changing a lot of things that they do with the dinosaurs and they're realizing how intelligent these velociraptors are or even other dinosaurs are. And they're really treating them like intelligent beings, right? And so I really like that.
The one guy was like, the military needs these raptors.
Literally, I feel like
military testing.
That's such an like American concept too. Like that would be in an American movie to like weaponize a dinosaur or something like that.
Chris Pratt's just like, what?
Yeah, like he's so confused.
And I love how like the raptors are the ones that kill him.
Yeah,
like, just get him out of here. Thank
God.
God.
Taste of his own medicine. Yeah. He was a pretty good bad guy. Not gonna lie. I really liked him as a bad guy.
Yeah, definitely liked him more than the villains in the Lost World. Like, was it John Hammond's nephew or something?
It was his nephew, I think.
Yeah, he's
something like
so
that.
annoying.
Yeah, I know. It kind of reminds me though. That's a good parallel with that and the Fallen Kingdom movie, where I guess that the old guy in that movie, he was kind of like John Hammond's friend.
Yeah.
And then that guy's, I don't know, was it like his nephew?
I think so, yeah.
Main antagonist. So it kind of seemed like it was like paralleling the Lost World there. Because he was also kind of like bedridden.
Yeah.
And kind of like John Hammond was. And he was like weak and almost on the verge of dying. But then, obviously, that guy just finished him off by suffocating him or whatever.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah. I really liked that. I really like how they do a lot of foreshadowing, or they really put a lot of cameos or like Easter eggs in all the movies.
It feels all connected.
It does. It really, and it really is too. Like in Jurassic World, where you see the old Jeeps like in the jungle and like broken down.
Yeah,
like that was a really cool scene for me because it was just that nostalgia, right? But
I feel like they actually have a plan going with this like Jurassic World trilogy, unlike some other franchises. Anyway, what was I gonna say? The ending of Jurassic World. They really did the T-Rex. They gave her back her like made a comeback, I guess.
Yeah, like it was her moment.
Yeah, I love the final fight with the Indominus Rex and how like the Blue and the T-Rex like team up. With the
Dude, that was a really cool scene for me too. It was really cool because like in the first Jurassic Park movie, they're fighting each other, right? In that end scene. And then in this scene, they're like working together to fight another dinosaur.
I remember being in the theater, and as soon as I saw the Indominus Rex back up to the railing, I was like, yes, come on. And then like the Mosasaur jumps out, and I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's like you knew it was bound to happen. You're like, yep.
Oh,
that was a really cool scene.
It makes me like if Jurassic Park wasn't so good, I almost feel like I would consider putting Jurassic World as one of the best. But Jurassic Park cannot be beaten.
No, yes. No, definitely
But
same here.
I definitely think Jurassic World beats out any other sequel.
Hmm.
Like more the like I remember when it first came out, people were iffy on it. Rewatching it though, it holds up so well.
It really does. And like, I mean, people who I've talked about Jurassic Park about, I mean, they've always said things like, "Oh, well, the CGI isn't that good," or
In Jurassic Park,
Jurassic Park, yeah, they're like, it doesn't hold up for today. I'm like, what do you
bro.
mean? Like, this movie definitely holds up.
Like let's go ahead and move into Jurassic Park because I'm guessing that's your number one too.
Yeah. No, my number one is literally Dinosaur from Disney.
Oh,
No, I'm kidding.
uh, oh, uh. No.
2000 classic right there.
We gotta talk about that in another
That was a
episode,
good
though.
movie.
But Jurassic Park, though, like when people say it doesn't hold up, that like what are you talking about? That movie like pioneered visual effects, like digital effects and everything. Like it looks amazing. Even the daytime scenes with the dinosaurs look great.
I know, I don't understand, but it's just such a good movie, and I like the animatronics that they use, and like some of the early CGI that they used. They blended it all really well for what it was at the time in the
Yeah.
90s, right?
I think that the Velociraptors look cooler nowadays, but
Mhm.
they still like that scene is still great. A lot of my film classes teach it when it comes to like the suspense and like tension. And I'm like yes.
No, yeah, and it's like the any parts where it's like where that one scene where they're sitting in the Ford Explorers, right? And the cup of water starts shaking and you can hear the footsteps of the T-Rex. Like
Yeah.
that's a really good scene. That's a classic scene right there.
I love how like is it Ian that sets that up, and then it's like from there on out when you see like the water shake, it's like something's happening. It's almost like in Jaws when you hear the music start to play,
Exactly.
and it's just so another Spielberg movie.
Exactly. No, Jaws is a really good movie, and I think I was gonna say that too, where it's kind of like the shark theme song.
Yeah.
Of the da, it's kind of like that before the T-Rex.
And then you know
And
something's getting ready to come down.
You know the T-Rex is gonna eat somebody.
Well, I love the scene when Ian's like in the back of the Jeep and he like sees it and he's like, "Yo, guys, we gotta go, we gotta go."
For real.
Now, Ian in that movie, I think he's like at his best in the first movie, and I'm so glad they didn't kill him off or anything like they technically did in the book.
Yeah. No, I'm glad they made that slightly different adaptation of the movie of the book in the movies. He is actually in that movie particularly. He is my favorite character. After Alan Grant.
Yeah, Alan Grant is the best. He's my favorite Jurassic Park franchise character, like in that movie.
I really like how he in the movie he's just really against kids. He hates kids. This dude hates kids. He like scares one away in like the opening scene
with the raptor claw.
With the raptor claw.
Here, right across your belly.
And it's really funny because then you see Ellie Sattler and she loves kids, right? She wants to even have some of her own eventually, and she kind of hints that to Dr. Alan Grant.
Yeah.
And then he's all like, "Oh shit!" Like, like I have to like kids now.
And then like at the end of the movie when they're in the helicopter and they're like laying on him and he's just like, "Oh."
It was a good character development for him. He really did change throughout the movie, for the better. I would say he was a less bitter man. I would think. I mean, at least up until that point. But.
I personally argue that Jurassic Park is a perfect movie. It's like there's nothing that I can like be like no. There's no bad element to me. I think it's all great.
It is great. The story is great. The dinosaurs are great. The characters are great. The scenes, everything is great. The suspense is great. It's definitely just a classic movie.
Even the villain characters are like great. Like the lawyer.
The lawyer's so funny. Like I love that guy.
And he just dies on a toilet. It's just too perfect.
No, yeah. It was just so funny. And it's like he literally had it coming for him, you know, it was just that karma. Even though I'm pretty sure in the book he was actually the good guy.
I think,
and he was the one that survived.
I think he's like a buff dude too.
Yeah, it was very weird. They made him really like a very wimpy guy in the movie where he's just like this wimpy, very I don't know. He's just very like like just bad dude to be around. He's just very annoying. He's that annoying pesky lawyer that
Yeah.
Dr. Hammond
I
complains about.
I need to read the book again. It's been a long time because I definitely think that this is one like a great example of a film adaptation that works perfectly. Like
Exactly.
this and Jaws are probably two. Spielberg does adaptations amazingly.
He really does.
Like even Ready. Like, have you seen Ready Player One?
I have.
I think Ready Player One's another pretty great adaptation too. I'm like, if I see he's adapting something, I'm like,
It's already gonna be a banger.
Yeah.
Like, you already know.
Like there's a reason he's a popular filmmaker. He's pretty
Really,
good at his job.
he really is. And no, I really like Jaws. Like any Spielberg movie, I think is a really good movie. Um, no, yes, definitely, but yeah, definitely Jurassic Park. Definitely a classic, up there with Jaws. No,
I go back and forth on Jaws and Jurassic Park being my like all-time favorite film.
I wouldn't say necessarily Jaws is my favorite film, but it is definitely like my top fives. Definitely, I would think, yeah, top fives up there. That is not Jurassic Park.
Yeah, yeah.
If we're not including all the other Jurassic Park movies.
There's movies that like, you just put on and you're like, I'm here. I'm watching this.
I'm invested for life. No, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think with this, so Jurassic Park, if you think about it, was not the first dinosaur movie that ever came out.
No.
I would say it's the best dinosaur movie that's come out.
Yeah.
There were a lot of takes on dinosaur movies in the past where the dinosaurs really looked.
It's like claymation.
They were like claymation, but then they also really looked like just lizards. They didn't really look like what you would think of as a dinosaur.
Like, was it The Lost World? There was one. That was one.
I think so.
There's another one I remember watching as a kid, and it's about like these kids that like go on a raft and they end up going back in time. I can't place it though.
I don't know that.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up. Let's see. Movie about kids on raft that goes back in time. Don't do me wrong, Google. There are dinosaurs as well. Not Jurassic Park. Journey to the Beginning of Time? Is that? Yeah, Journey to the Beginning of Time. Yeah, I watched that a lot as a kid. And it was kind of like boring because it was very educational. It came out in 1955.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
That's an old movie.
That is an old movie. I think definitely though, after Jurassic Park, a lot of movies came out that didn't necessarily try to be better than Jurassic Park, but it really influenced the movie industry, such as that Disney movie from the early 2000s. It's called Dinosaur.
Yeah.
I really liked that movie. I don't know if it really holds up today with like the CGI.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember it being a really cool movie, but also I was really into dinosaurs at the time.
I remember I was more of a fan of like carnivores, so I was always like, I want more of them because like Carnotaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs.
Very
I think
cool.
It's just so cool. And when they were in the movie, I'm like, yes.
No, I think I really liked the Carnotaurus, not necessarily from Jurassic Park or like World, but I first saw it in that Disney movie that I was talking to you about called Dinosaur. So the main villains in that movie are Carnotaurus, and they kind of they like prey on the main character's family and all this stuff. But I really liked that dinosaur, and when I saw it in The Fallen Kingdom, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's a Carnotaurus. Like, I love this scene. I was kind of sad that it just like immediately just died to the T-Rex, but also that was a pretty cool scene.
Baryonyx is pretty cool in that movie too.
Is really cool.
I was playing Jurassic World Evolution 2, and like I put this goat in with my Carnotaurus, and just like watching it eat by like headbutting it to like if it goes flying, I'm like, this is my new favorite dinosaur. It's so cool.
Kind of reminds me of the Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus is
to
really
an
cool.
extent.
That one, it was horrifying. However, I don't think that's how it like actually looked. Is from what people say nowadays.
Yeah,
I don't really keep up on that. There's apparently a movie called Carnosaur that is a straight up ripoff of Jurassic Park.
Really?
But apparently it was also a book that came out 5 years before, but the movie is like a shameless ripoff, apparently.
No, there are a lot of ripoffs of Jurassic Park for the same reasons. I think after Jurassic Park, a lot of different movie makers try to make their own kind of dinosaur movie. They just weren't that good.
Yeah.
The CGI a lot of times are really bad. I forgot there was a specific movie that I just purposely just watched to see how good it was, and it was just laughable. It was just
Yeah.
like a comedy the whole time.
That's
I'm
like
trying to,
I'm like looking. I found a list, the top 113 Jurassic Park knockoffs, and we gotta watch some of these and talk about them at some point. But some of these got like 2.6 rating. This one's 2.8,
wow.
3 stars. Wow. However, I don't. Congo is on here. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
It's a movie. It's based off of a book by Michael Crichton, and I don't know why it's on this list because it's about like a team that goes to the African Congo and they get like attacked by apes. Why is this on this list? I don't really know.
Interesting.
Jurassic Games. It's got a 3.8. Wow, that's the best one I've seen so far.
Did you ever watch The Land Before Time?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Those are classic movies.
That was-
too.
when did that come out? That came out in 1988. So that first movie was so different from the rest.
Yeah, it really was.
It was kind of dark, actually.
Kind of sad. I cried.
I think that was the
I'm like,
first.
he's an orphan. Like,
Yeah, that was the first dinosaur movie I think I watched because I
Yeah.
watched that a lot as a kid. Then my grandma was like, "You want to watch Jurassic Park?" And I was like too young to watch Jurassic Park, and I was like,
You're scared.
Same thing with Jaws. She showed me Jaws, and then now they're like my favorite movies.
No, yeah. That's kind of how. So my mom was actually the one that introduced Jurassic Park to me.
Hmm.
She said that when she was in her 20s, I believe, like early 20s, like she was 20 or 19, I forgot what age she said she was, but she went to watch it when it first came out in theaters. And she said that everyone in the movie theater was like every single time like dinosaurs came out,
Yeah,
people would be screaming and like it was like a horror movie to them.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
is really funny to think about now because it's like you watch Jurassic Park and it's not really
Not
a horror movie. It's like maybe a thriller,
Yeah,
like suspense,
it's like sci-fi thriller.
sci-fi thriller, but it's like definitely not horror.
That's the same thing with Jaws as well. Like,
It's really funny.
listen to my dad talk about Jaws. He's like, I couldn't put my feet over the edge of the bed at night. I couldn't go into water, and I'm like, it's not that. The
It's not
worst
that
scene
bad.
in Jaws is when Quint's sliding down the boat, and that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the worst part, and that's it.
Yeah, I remember growing up when I watched Jaws the first time. I saw it and I wasn't scared necessarily.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, like this is cool, but it's not that scary. And like my parents would also talk about it being a scary movie.
I was more scared of like the Spinosaurus frill coming up from
From
Jurassic Park
Literally.
3.
Yeah, that's what I was scared of too. Or like, yeah, actually, when I first watched Jurassic Park, that whole scene where Dennis Nedry's in his Jeep
Oh, yeah.
and he's trying to run away from the Dilophosaurus,
Hmm.
and then it just appears in next to him in the seat.
Yeah,
That part did kind of make me a little scared.
that was horrifying.
It was a little horrifying as a kid when you just see it start eating Dennis Nedry. Not necessarily because it like zooms out, so
Yeah,
like the
he's
outside
like-
point of view. But
It's like the frill and the sound it makes is
Yeah.
horrifying.
it's kind of scary.
And it like spits. I don't think it actually frills. The real version frills up or spits.
I don't think so. I think that was probably another adaptation
It's
that
just fine. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
probably a part of Dr. Wu's experiments.
Jurassic Park wouldn't work if it was realistic. I don't think it would as
Yeah,
well. I think
I
it'd
don't
be
think
kind
it would.
of a little underwhelming.
Yeah, to be honest.
You've ever watched like those YouTube videos where people watch like Walking with Dinosaurs and then they like break down how inaccurate some of the stuff is?
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. It's like you could do it with that Jurassic Park.
No,
It's a
I don't
waste of
think.
time.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because I don't necessarily think they're meant to be realistic, right?
No,
Because
the theme park attractions.
yeah,
However, I feel like it'd be kind of. I don't know how exciting Jurassic Park would have been because like when they're like going through, you probably wouldn't see much.
yeah.
while.
There's a lot of like it was interesting in those first scenes where they're in those jeeps and they're driving through
Hmm.
and they're passing each like exhibit,
Yeah,
but you don't really see them coming out. Like when they first passed the Dilophosaurus
yeah, you don't
exhibit,
see anything.
there was no Dilophosaur that you could see, so it was like kind of weird. Maybe they're just camouflaged. I don't know.
Well, like
But
it's probably like if you look at some of the zoomed out shots, those enclosures are huge.
they're huge. Yeah.
It's like- Like even like the T-Rex paddock took
Mhm.
like them a long time to get across. However, do you know where one of the major continuity errors is in Jurassic Park? Do you know this?
I'm pretty sure. So basically, in this Jurassic Park movie, the T-Rex exhibit, when you first see the T-Rex and it's trying to break out of the exhibit, it easily steps over
Yeah.
the fencing. But then in the part where the kid is stuck in the tree in the car,
Uh-huh.
in that point of view, they're inside of the exhibit, right?
Yeah.
But the wall is just massive, like
Yeah.
taller than what the T-Rex was. So it's like kind of, I guess you would say like a movie error
Yeah.
there, but
I honestly think it does not bother me one bit. And I
no.
love Spielberg's when he talks about it, he's just like, it
Yeah,
works.
he's
It's
like,
whatever. I needed it to be there. It's
yeah,
like, great.
it's like fine.
I got like 15 extra credit points in a class one time because they're like, can you tell me there's continuity error in Jurassic Park? And I'm like, I can.
You're like, I am a fan of this movie. I know everything about this movie. No, yeah, it's really funny looking back at it now. But when I was like, when you're a kid, you don't really notice it, right?
Yeah.
You're just watching it. You're just like, oh, cool
I was like,
dinosaurs.
where'd that come from? Oh, well, I'm already past that.
Yeah.
They're hanging off of it.
It's like I'm already this deep into this movie. You know, I'm already a fan. So
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you all for listening to us and
Hopefully
supporting this new podcast.
Hopefully this isn't the only episode. I'm just
mean-
kidding, no.
No,
We're out of ideas already.
it was a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
No.
It'll get 1 million views. No.
Oh, that'd be sick.
That would be sick.
But
All right.
yes, thank you very much for listening to our podcast. Hopefully you'll stick around for more, but it's been a pleasure talking about Jurassic Park.
All right. See you guys hopefully in the next one.
The next one. Peace.